there aren't many things that keep you going, but there are some. Life, as hard as it is, strange as it is, easy as it is, greasy as it is, dropping you into an abyss of turmoil on a daily basis, this fiery will-o'-the-wisp sometimes gives you unexpected presents. Thing is, you just have to see them. Life gives you good lemons. You just need to find that right recipe for the lemonade. I remember my first present very well. I was 3, I guess, and my parents, ponies of easily acquired wealth and proud descent, decided their daughter's birthday, such a glorious occasion, I know, called for a 200-bit playset that, as far as I can remember, consisted of a castle with a moving gate and towers and all, several benches, and a tiny garden where trees and bushes could be planted everywhere at will. Of course, my parents didn't realize that I was too young to play with tiny items like that, by most standards. But what they also bought me, as a support gift, was this wonderful doll. A young mare, or rather a mature filly, the kind of doll that our market wants fillies to become when they grow up, to buy cosmetics and ridiculous clothing. One way or another, I enjoyed the present for many years. It gave me a smidge of inspiration, just enough needed to create eloquent stories of princesses and dragons. I, of course, was the knight, saving my plastic princess from a giant plush Paddington bear or some other grave danger. Then I would kiss the princess, brush my teeth, and go to bed, dreaming of new tales of fantasy and chivalry. I did not know that I was into mares back then. I mean, how could I, at such an age? Now that I think about it, I didn't even realize my sexuality until college. But, crazy as it might sound, when the ponies surrounding me were fucking around, I was actually studying. And I wouldn't have it any other way. When I did arrive at the decision to begin a full, if steady, sexual life, the castle was already half crumbled, the garden destroyed by my cousin's car, and the princess given away to the local orphanage as an act of goodwill from the rich, which undoubtedly cares so much about the poor. But life gave me another present. When my cutie mark showed up, the only thing I did know was that it was connected to music in one way or another. What kind of music? That remained to be seen. I challenged all instruments, striking it good with brass, failing miserably with strings, and being somewhat decent at keys. The sax, though, was my instrument of choice, or, if we're being cheesy, was the one that chose me. But the present that life gave me was a chance of earning some bits as a technician at a nightclub. Being the rich, spoiled brat I was, and still am, I found it my duty to rip off some poor fellow his chance to earn some bits, and applied for the position, taking it up by my surname, not my skill. And yet, there was still some skill, as it turned out. Fixing up wires and setting up mics soon turned into a fun little game for me. Checking the turntables grew into learning about them. I scrutinized the instrument thoroughly after warm evenings of saxy jazz and the 10 million bit mansion in Echelon Hills. My parents were easy to persuade, and soon, a package deal of turntables, shades, and mane gel made me a new pony. The one ponies would come to know as DJ Pone 3. The fast rise thanks to my father's connections. A steady job thanks to my skills. And number 1 in modern fashion thanks to my mother recommending me all those magazines. I really can't complain. My parents made me a name, and I've done everything to keep it up. And I did, as it should be, and thanking me for sticking to tradition instead of succumbing to youthful rebellion. Life gifted me another present. The present came in a neat little package of a black tailcoat wrapped up in a pink bow tie and spiced with a perfectly round flank. How could I resist? And tell me, how could I not approach her after the gig? The only visitor in such a particular outfit. We talked. Likely story, I know. Tired after a concert, dropped by the nearest bar. Jibba this, jibba that. A few drinks, and then a few more. How could we not get drunk? And how, tell me, could we not end up exchanging numbers after that? The days of wine and roses followed. Happy walks in the moonlight, tea drinking in her living room, under the stern gaze of Beethoven staring at us from a portrait, and romantic dates at classy restaurants, and the fun dinners at burger joints. It was all so perfect. And the wine and roses, of course, were there too, as soon as we decided to start dating. That present was the sweetest one. There were arguments, of course. Every argument, I think, too, can be considered a present. The damage dealt is nullified by the precious experience received, nourishing that experience. Keeping in mind, though, changes absolutely nothing. You'll end up none the wiser, and there will still be arguments. But sometimes you look back and see that after all these quarrels, you're still together. If that's not a sign of devotion, I don't know what is. And naturally, the most recent present was also the most shocking one. I know, a common story. A restaurant, a sweaty pony in a suit, gazing at her beloved, waiting for the right moment. The ring, the proposal, and as if it could be any different, she said yes. Tears of happiness and kisses and embraces, all that followed back at home. But then, in the restaurant, there was only yes. Now, I wouldn't mind a little present too. We're still looking for a venue to host the wedding, one that could accommodate not only our huge families, but also my friends and Octavia's whole orchestra. She's been made the soloist just recently, you know. My little cellist. But I guess I'll manage to find a venue myself. Maybe ask my parents for help. After all, family is the most sacred pact in the world, like love. And I can only hope that life gives us a long and peaceful life as our wedding present. Because, as I said before, life gives you some damn good lemons. You just need to learn how to make good lemonade.